This video is brought to you by Ultra Prime Selections, Inc., a lone sentinel in the vast, turbulent ocean of fabricated narratives, the only sanctuary where the raw, unadulterated truth is spoken, where the inconvenient facts are laid bare, stripped of their deceptive gloss. No matter how ferociously they attempt to silence us, no matter how desperately they try to bury the truth beneath a suffocating avalanche of carefully constructed lies and manipulations, the truth is a seed. It will grow despite the darkness. A country teetering on the precipice of an abyss, a nation betrayed, not by external adversaries wielding weapons of war, but by the very individuals entrusted with its stewardship, the guardians of its sacred institutions, the supposed protectors of its citizens. For decades, the political elite of Canada have systematically exploited the industrious spirit of its citizens, draining their financial resources and robbing them blind under the guise of responsible governance, while they amass power and wealth. And now, as the provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan, fueled by a righteous indignation, a burning desire for autonomy, embark on a courageous quest to reclaim their sovereignty, the true grotesque visage of Canadian politics is being ruthlessly unveiled, stripped of its deceptive veneer, exposed in all its corrupt and parasitic glory. They have systematically plundered your hard-earned wealth, methodically eroded your fundamental freedoms, brazenly lied to your faces with unwavering conviction, and relentlessly manipulated the media landscape to keep you docile, complacent, and perpetually asleep, trapped in a manufactured reality. But the era of blind obedience is drawing to a close. Today, we embark on a journey behind the veil of illusion, venturing into the shadows where the truth lies hidden. Today, we expose the insidious criminals who have infiltrated the highest echelons of office, the wolves in sheep's clothing who have betrayed the trust of the nation. This is not merely a political commentary, but the stark, unvarnished truth, the beginning of the inevitable end for the Canada we once knew, a Canada now fractured, broken, and irrevocably changed, a nation betrayed from within. Do you still recall the cherished concept of freedom of speech, the cornerstone of a democratic society, the very foundation upon which our liberties were built? It has been systematically eradicated, relegated to a distant, nostalgic memory, a relic of a bygone era. Government regulation, like a relentless, encroaching tide, is seeping into every conceivable corner of your existence, dictating your thoughts, your actions, your very essence, stifling your individuality. Draconian bills such as C-10 and C-36, wielded like blunt instruments, are ruthlessly stripping away your inherent right to express yourself freely in the digital realm, transforming the internet from a bastion of free expression into a tool of state control. If you dare to utter a dissenting opinion, if you articulate a viewpoint that deviates from the approved narrative, you are swiftly censored, your voice extinguished, your digital presence erased. If you possess the audacity to ask probing questions, to challenge the status quo, you are silenced, your inquiries dismissed with contempt, your concerns ignored. The very platforms that were supposed to connect us, to empower us, are now used to control us, to manipulate us, to silence us. And what of financial freedom? The ability to control your own destiny, to reap the rewards of your labor, to build a better future for yourself and your family. In contemporary Canada, it is a mirage, a cruel illusion, a distant dream that fades with each passing day. The suffocating weight of carbon taxes, the insidious burden of hidden taxes, the relentless surge in the cost of living, the government is systematically draining your financial resources, while they themselves indulge in lavish lifestyles, shielded from the economic realities faced by ordinary citizens, living in a world of privilege and excess. Where does your hard-earned money vanish? It flows into the coffers of the political elite, funding their extravagant vacations, their gold-plated pensions, their ill-conceived and disastrous policies that benefit only themselves. They grow increasingly wealthy, while you are systematically impoverished, your dreams and aspirations crushed beneath the weight of their avarice, your hopes extinguished. The cost of a simple grocery trip is now a burden, a struggle, a source of anxiety. And if you dare to challenge this oppressive system, if you possess the courage to voice your dissent, if you engage in peaceful protest, you are branded a threat, an enemy of the state, a subversive element that must be neutralized. The government will not hesitate to freeze your bank accounts, crippling your ability to function in society, turning you into a financial pariah. They will deploy riot police, armed with batons and tear gas, against peaceful demonstrators, their faces contorted with rage, their actions brutal and indiscriminate, a display of raw power meant to intimidate and silence. They will weaponize the media, transforming it into a propaganda machine, painting you as a villain, a pariah, an enemy of the people, twisting the narrative to serve their own agenda. Because in the Canada of today, you are not a citizen. You are a resource, a tool to be exploited, a pawn in the grand game of political power, a cog in the machine of state control. You do not serve the government. The government uses you to serve them, to perpetuate their own power and enrich themselves at your expense, to maintain their grip on the levers of control. They use your taxes as if it is their own money, spending it on their own luxuries. But the citizens of Canada are awakening from their slumber, their eyes opening to the harsh realities of their situation, the veil of illusion being torn away. And the astute among them, the ones who possess the foresight to recognize the impending collapse, are taking decisive action, refusing to be passive victims. They are leaving. Alberta and Saskatchewan, driven by a burning desire for autonomy, a yearning for self-determination, have taken the first bold step, initiating the process of breaking free from the suffocating grip of federal control and seeking a new future, potentially within the framework of the United States. But this movement is not confined to 2 provinces. It is a nationwide phenomenon, a mass exodus driven by desperation and a yearning for freedom, a societal upheaval that transcends geographical boundaries. This is not just a political shift, but a profound cultural and social transformation, a rejection of the status quo. Statistics displayed on the screen, revealing that between 16 and 22 million Canadians are actively considering relocating, seeking a better life beyond the borders of their own nation, their faces etched with worry and hope. Displaying images of moving trucks, packed cars, and families leaving their homes, a visual representation of the exodus. People from Ontario, Quebec, and maritime provinces are packing their belongings, bidding farewell to their familiar surroundings, their ancestral homes, and embarking on a journey westward, seeking refuge in the promise of a brighter future, a chance to rebuild their lives and reclaim their dreams. Why? Because they see the ominous writing on the wall, the signs of impending collapse, the decay that has permeated every level of Canadian society, the rot that has spread like a cancer. They understand that remaining in a system designed to exploit them, to drain their resources and stifle their potential, is an act of self-destruction, a surrender to a fate they refuse to accept. The hope that once existed, the belief in a better future, is now gone, replaced by a sense of disillusionment and despair. And how do the politicians react to this mass exodus, this rebellion against their authority, this rejection of their rule? With panic, with desperation, with a frantic attempt to maintain their grip on power, to cling to their privileges and protect their ill-gotten gains. Because they understand the implications of Alberta and Saskatchewan's departure. They know that once these provinces break free, the rest of Canada will inevitably follow. Like dominoes falling in succession, their carefully constructed edifice of power crumbling before their eyes. And when that happens, their empire of corruption, their carefully constructed web of lies, will crumble into dust, exposing their treachery to the world, revealing their true nature as parasites and thieves. They fear the loss of control, the unraveling of their carefully woven web of deceit, the exposure of their crimes. The very foundation of their power, built on the backs of the hardworking Canadian citizen, is now shaking, threatening to collapse entirely, burying them beneath the rubble of their own corruption. Why do they fear Alberta and Saskatchewan leaving? The political elite in Canada is deeply concerned about the potential secession of these provinces. Alberta and Saskatchewan are rich in resources and have a strong sense of autonomy. Their departure would significantly impact Canada's economy and political landscape. What catastrophic consequences await the political elite if Alberta and Saskatchewan succeed in their secession and join the United States? A move that would reshape the political landscape of North America. The answer is simple. They lose billions upon billions of dollars in tax revenue, the lifeblood that fuels their extravagant lifestyles and corrupt schemes, the source of their power and influence. The eastern provinces, stripped of the financial support provided by the resource-rich West, will descend into economic chaos, their infrastructure crumbling, their services collapsing, their populations facing unprecedented hardship, their cities becoming ghost towns. The Canadian government, deprived of Alberta's vast oil reserves and Saskatchewan's abundant natural resources, will be unable to sustain its bloated bureaucracy and its failed social programs, its coffers empty, its power diminished. And, most importantly, the people finally awakened from their slumber will realize the devastating truth. They never needed Ottawa, the parasitic entity that has drained their wealth and stifled their potential. In the first place, the illusion of federal necessity shattering like glass. Maps illustrating the flow of equalization payments, highlighting the dependence of eastern provinces on western resources. Close-ups of politicians' faces, their expressions shifting from arrogance to fear, their eyes filled with panic. Images of abandoned factories and decaying infrastructure in eastern Canada, the once thriving cities now desolate and empty. Graphs showing the decline of the Canadian dollar and the rise of unemployment, the numbers plummeting like a stone. For decades, Ottawa has treated Western Canada as its personal piggy bank, a source of endless wealth to be plundered at will, a resource to be exploited without regard for the consequences. They have systematically stolen the fruits of the West's labor, crippled its industries with suffocating regulations, and punished those who dared to challenge their authority, silencing dissent with threats and intimidation. But now the West is rising, its voice echoing with a resounding no more. The people of Alberta and Saskatchewan have reached their breaking point, their patience exhausted, their resolve hardened, their spirits unyielding. They will no longer tolerate being treated as second-class citizens, as cash cows to be milked for the benefit of the political elite, as pawns in their political games. The truth, as stark and unpalatable as it may be, is this: Canadian politicians are not public servants. They are criminals in suits, parasites feeding off the lifeblood of the nation, wolves in sheep's clothing preying on the innocent. They do not work for you, the citizens who elected them. They work for themselves, for their own personal gain, for the perpetuation of their power, for the enrichment of their own coffers. They are not leaders. They are thieves, masquerading as statesmen, stealing your wealth, your freedom, your very future, betraying the trust of the nation. Graphic, a detailed breakdown of corrupt politician salaries and perks, highlighting the exorbitant amounts of taxpayer money they siphon off, the numbers flashing like neon signs. MPs, $194,600 per year, plus lifetime pensions, generous benefits, and expense accounts, the details of which are shrouded in secrecy. Prime Minister, $379,000 per year, plus a vast array of perks and privileges, including access to private jets and luxurious accommodations. Governor General, $350,000 per year, plus a lavish residence and staff, their every need catered to at the expense of the taxpayer. Taxpayer-funded vacations to exotic destinations, extravagant bonuses, and insider deals that enrich them at your expense, the details of which are often hidden from public view. Detailed lists of the perks and expenses they are given, the numbers growing larger and more alarming. And while you struggle to pay your bills, while you sacrifice to feed your family, while you work tirelessly to build a better future, they sit in their opulent mansions, sipping champagne, laughing at your naivete, counting your money as if it were their own, their eyes gleaming with avarice. They indulge in lavish vacations to exotic destinations, funded by your tax dollars, while you can barely afford a weekend getaway, your dreams of travel fading into the distance. They enjoy gold-plated pensions secured by your hard-earned savings, while you worry about your retirement, your future uncertain. They live in a world of privilege, shielded from the harsh realities faced by ordinary Canadians. Their lives a stark contrast to the struggles of their constituents. These are not leaders. They are thieves, plain and simple, criminals in suits, parasites feeding off the lifeblood of the nation. And the only way to stop them, to break their stranglehold on power, is to walk away from their corrupt system, to reclaim your sovereignty, to build a new future, free from their tyranny, a future where your voice matters. The time for complacency is over. The time for action has arrived. The time to rise up and reclaim your destiny. This is your wake-up call, your final warning, the alarm bell ringing in the night. Canada is crumbling, collapsing under the weight of its own corruption, its foundations rotting from within. The exodus has begun, a mass migration of disillusioned citizens seeking a better life, a brighter future, a chance to escape the sinking ship. And the people are faced with a stark choice, a defining moment in their history. Remain trapped in a system designed to control and exploit them, to drain their resources and stifle their potential, or break free and embrace the promise of freedom, autonomy, and prosperity, a chance to build a new nation founded on principles of liberty and justice. The government, desperate to maintain its grip on power, will resort to any means necessary to keep you blind, to keep you enslaved, to perpetuate their control. They will manipulate the media, spreading fear and misinformation, twisting the truth to serve their own agenda. They will deploy propaganda, painting those who challenge their authority as enemies of the state, subversives who threaten the very fabric of society. They will use every tool at their disposal, every weapon in their arsenal, to prevent you from seeing the truth, to keep you in the dark. But the truth is undeniable. It is staring you in the face. It is echoing in your hearts. And you must make a choice that will determine the fate of your nation, the future of your children, the legacy you leave behind. Will you remain a pawn in their game, a puppet on their strings? Or will you rise up and reclaim your destiny, a sovereign citizen in a free land? This message has been brought to you by Ultra Prime Selections, Inc., the voice of truth in a world of lies, the defender of liberty in a nation under siege. The truth they don't want you to hear, the truth they don't want you to share, but the truth that must be told for the sake of your freedom, for the sake of your future, for the sake of generations to come. The truth is a weapon, and it is time to wield it. Fading images of a collapsing Canada juxtaposed with images of a rising Alberta Saskatchewan movement, a symbol of hope and defiance, a phoenix rising from the ashes. The music swells to a powerful crescendo, a symphony of resistance, leaving the viewer with a sense of urgency, determination, and unwavering hope. The final image is a slow zoom into a single determined eye, reflecting the flames of a burning sense of justice.